Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Angel Face Magic Hour. We are here with Yardena. You came and we did an interview a few minutes ago. So if you guys are listening to this in real time, that came out a few days ago. But we're going to do a little mini episode and you're going to share with us some little tarot tips, some little homework assignments for y'all that are interested in connecting with tarot and also connecting with yourself. So
Yes.
let's get started.
Yeah. So as we all know, tarot can be used for readings, and most commonly that's how we see it in a reading, structured reading, asking a question, a daily pull. But I thought it'd be fun to kind of talk about different things that we can do. I know we kind of mentioned it in the podcast, like how you can meditate with cards, like the magician having all the elements, or if you only maybe you want to do a money spell, you'll get the king or the queen of pentacles and you'll light a candle next to it and you'll meditate and you will envision yourself as the king or queen of pentacles, or if you want to be disciplined, you can do the hierophant, or there's different archetypes that each card is ruled by a planet and an archetype and a message, and all of those different elements you can use to meditate. Or I like bringing it to my dance class. And sometimes when I'm feeling a little stuck, I'll bring something that'll kind of spark that'll help me, whether visually connect to it or spiritually connect to it, or if it's attached to the planet Jupiter and I want to be more expansive and take more room. That's something I've been doing. So I want to talk about tarot of the year. Each year of your life, there's a different tarot card that rules it. So usually it's done with the major arcana, and the major arcana is from 0 to 22. And each one represents a stage in life that we go through. It's like the archetypal journey that we all go through. And it's really fun to, in the beginning of the year or on your birthday, figure out what tarot card is your ruler for that year. And so I did yours. And you got 14. And 14 is the Temperance card. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I should have probably gotten it.
Temperance?
Temperance.
That's interesting. That card has come up on the podcast multiple times.
Really?
They're very different reasons. Like someone talked about it being like their spirit guide card and stuff.
Yeah, this is the Salvador Dali version, which I think is really
so
pretty. Yeah.
Will you send me a picture of that so I can post it?
Yes, I will definitely. So you're in your temperance year.
Going into for 2023.
Oh, this I did for 2022.
Oh, okay. So I'm in it. This is the end of my temperance year.
Right.
Okay, sorry. I got confused.
Well, I guess it would start on your birthday. So you're probably what, like in the middle?
Because my birthday was in June, so my half birthday is like in the end of December.
Okay,
so I'm like halfway into it. Yeah.
Find it. Okay. Yeah. So temperance comes after death and comes before the devil. I don't know if we're like getting in. I don't know if you want to talk about do you want to talk about the temperance card and like your year and everything? Is that okay too?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, awesome.
Maybe just briefly before we do that, explain to people if they want to learn what the card is.
Yes, thank you. That was actually part of my plan. I got off on a tangent.
But I want to hear about the temperance.
How do you figure out your birth card? Or your tarot card for the year? You basically add, so your birthday's June 20th. You would add 6 plus 20 and then whatever year. We're in 2022. So 6 plus 20 in 2022 is 2048. And then you would add all the numbers in that numerical. So 2048 is the total we got from adding your birthday to the year. And then you would break that down. So you do 2 plus 0 plus 4 plus 8. And that equals 14. Let's say you got something that was over 22 because there's only 22 cards. You would then, let's say we got 24. You would then add 4 plus 2. Or
to make it like a
digit. Yeah, and then you'd get 6 to make it a digit that fits between 0 and 22. and then that would be your card.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's how you figure out. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that does. And I didn't realize when you do that, you're only looking at the major arcana. Like I didn't, for some reason, I would think it would be like the whole deck. So that's good to know.
yeah, it's only major arcana. Or at least that's how I was introduced and taught. So that's how I do it. I'm sure there's so many other ways, maybe. Not
That
really
makes
sure.
sense to me.
But yeah, major arcana, very archetypal movements, very themed, you know. So I personally like knowing my tarot card in like right in the beginning of my birthday, and sometimes I'll even forget about it. I'm in my Wheel of Fortune year, and it's so funny because even before knowing that, I got this random little tarot sticker, and I just stuck it on the back of my phone. It's been there the whole year, and I was journaling the other night, and I was like, oh yeah. I was reading an old passage and I read that I'm in my Wheel of Fortune year, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's been on my phone, and I've just seen it. And I think Meg has it on their bed, and I was like watching the astrology episode, so it was like a very heavy week of like Wheel of Fortune everywhere. And then that prompted me to check my tarot card. I was like, oh yeah, I am in my Wheel of Fortune year. So it's cool how it kind of follows you, and
Yeah.
you could figure things out with yourself that way, or kind of reflect at the end of the year as well, and see how far you've come with those themes that whatever card may highlight for the year. And I think also, like, if you know the story of the major arcana, you can kind of see, like, for instance, you're in the Temperance card, which comes after death, or right, which comes after death. So how does that, like, what does that mean to you? And do you feel like last year you were in a death year? And how does that compare to like where you're at now, kind of thing? And then kind of also taking in mind that the next card is the devil, whether the math adds up that way or not. I like to use those tools to help you decide. It's kind of like context clues. When you know where you're at in the puzzle, or where you are in the storybook, you know, the chapters, it's easier for you to figure yourself out and to make those connections.
That makes sense to me, like personally. I think when I looked at the last time I did my card was not this year, but the one before, and I'm pretty sure like the numbers told me I was like in the Hermit. So it's interesting to kind of see how the death and the Hermit, for me at least, were connected, and what kind of like what was going on in my life last year. Especially with like spiritual awakening kind of stuff, like a lot of things dying, having to release. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and I know we were talking about how it's something that just popped up for me. You were talking about how the Two of Coins has been popping up for you, and you've been talking about that too. And Temperance, you know, a lot of the meaning or keyword patience, finding the purpose, which is kind of what we talked based on, which that Two of Coins can bring. Spreading yourselves out too thin. What do you feel like your true purpose is? What do you really want to commit? And what is worth balancing, you know? Because I don't know, I just envision like us trying to hold a bunch of stuff and falling. And it's like, yeah, you care about it, but at the end of the day, you might only want to really eat 2 oranges. So don't like waste your energy, or kind of like let it go. So then maybe it gives opportunity for someone else to sow the fruits,
Yeah.
or the messages. So that's something Temperance could kind of bring, realignment, self-healing, excess, which also is very in alignment with your Two of Cards, synchronicities, that the patterns that have been popping up to you. Temperance, I don't know if you guys could see that well, but it's a card that usually shows a winged angel, no matter, I mean, all the versions that I've seen, I know there's like different ones, but for the Dali one, a large winged angel who's both masculine and feminine. In
Yeah.
the tarot weight deck, they're more like, I think they're dressed in a blue robe with the triangle in the center. Oh, let me get my, I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna get my laptop charger really quick so I don't die on you. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. So Temperance, I don't know that much about. So that's definitely like something that I wanted think about and do a little research moment. But I know this card has come up several times on the podcast, which is kind of interesting.
Okay. Oh my gosh, did you guys see Dexter in the back?
Hello.
He's just chilling on my bed.
I was saying that because tarot, like won't really read them for other people, but I'll pull my own cards, and I feel like Temperance is a card that I don't know a whole lot about, so I think it'll be interesting to kind of
Now you can look
think
into
about
it and
that.
see how it makes sense to you. Oh no, hold on, I'm having some technical difficulties.
We'll make it work.
Okay, there we go. Yay, we got it. But yeah, okay, so where was I? Temperance card, masculine and feminine energies. The square in the front usually, let's see if it's here. He doesn't have it depicted here. Maybe when we do the podcast, I'll send you the picture of like the tarot weights. So that's like the OG one that kind of is a good learning point.
Yeah.
But in the background, there's a winded path up a mountain range, which is very similar, reflecting the journey through life. You see the mountains and the ocean. It's a symbol of taking the higher path and really staying true to your purpose and your meaning. I know life is all about like exploring, and I'm not saying like don't be curious, but it's more like being mindful of what commitment and how much energy do you want to put into getting you to your higher purpose, and like really that thing that's going to get you energized and feel complete and whole and like fulfilled in a way that nothing else could. And I think this is like that reminder. In the book, in the Dali book that I like reading, it always comes with a little practical advice. So for this one, it says, existing facts may be melted down and newly forged. Joyfully charge the world and begin to play with new possibilities. Establish your own creativity workshop in your daily life. Find a time and place to take a break and tear away from regular basis. So it's not telling you to not break away. Like there's importance in being curious, because that will give you opportunity to nourish the things that you want to do, whether you know you can cross it off your list and you're like, this is not for me, or be like, wow, I didn't even know I could bring this into Reiki, and now I want to add that to my own path. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense for me, like and I talked about this on the podcast, but like I've been working personally a lot on like structure, creating like devotional habits and stuff like that, and through that it's helped me create more structure like in the business. But it's also one of the things that's more difficult for me to like, I guess I don't know how to explain this, like tune down the amount of things, like because I'll get like 50,000 ideas a day, and it's like, okay, what is going to be the most helpful, and do I really need to do like a whole new project, or should I actually finish the things that I started?
Right.
So that's something I'm continuing to work on, but I do see like the fruits of that labor like coming through, like more opportunities and things coming in for like the podcast and stuff. So I think that has been cool, because that's something I have been focusing on this last year, of like I haven't put an episode out every single week, but so much
Right.
more than the year before when I started. So it really has shown me, okay, if I focus on this, there's so many things I can do within that. Like I can have conversations and interviews, I can educate, I can talk about topics. Like it leaves opportunities for more things, because it's mainly just the vehicle of it, of it's a
Liminal
video.
space. Yes.
It's a video, like whatever we want to talk about, we can talk about. So
I love that.
I think that makes sense.
Especially because it's like it sounds like you had to let a lot of things die which is the card that comes before, to get to
last year.
and something that comes up to me like when I see tarot card, the Temperance card, sorry, is kind of like, it is a fire card, and it's like the purification of your soul through flame. So imagine, it's like kind of like the phoenix story. It's like you got to die and then rise from your own ashes. And it's not that we're this new brand new baby, like we still are ourselves, but in this new evolved way, after shedding and letting whatever die to regenerate back into the soil and to make room for other people. So when you make room for yourself, you're also leaving those seats for somebody who it might be more aligned with. It might make more sense. It might nurture their path in a way that it didn't nurture ours. And I think that's also like a very cool message.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's really fun to just learn your tarot card. I think it's a good tool. And if tarot kind of makes you nervous or you don't know how to start, I think oracle cards are very fun to talk about. They're a little more broad, and you connect. Most of them come with their own book, whoever creates them, with their own interpretations and their own connections, whether it's colors or shapes or who they commission to do the art. Everything is it means something. And it's very beautiful to connect to a complete stranger and pull a card and have it make so much sense. Aside from the more structured ways and archetypes of the tarot, which can be also open-ended, but it's more like if you ask a certain question and it's going to be more tailored to that question, as far as, which you can also do with oracle cards, but with these, they're going to be more broad, where it kind of gives more room for thought and more room to grow into it. So I pulled a little card before our session. I have a hard time saying this word, but reciprocity.
I have trouble pronouncing a lot of words, but I think you got it right.
Reciprocity and reciprocity. And I believe, just like this one, to me, reciprocity is like when you are allowed the access to information, or we share information, or I think it's also in tune with like the temperance thing. Once we find our purpose and we feel so confident and we don't want to shut up about things because we're so passionately lit up by it, I think that's like true magic. And I think the more you talk about your gifts, whether they're on completely different spectrums, is honoring that human side of our spiritual journeys. I love talking to skeptics or people who don't believe in any kind of spiritualism, and then kind of tricking them in a way, being like, okay, well, you just realized you kind of shed this, and I'm like, that sounds very death card to me. And they'll be like, no, but it's cool because I'll get a text message and be like, you just changed my whole life, and now I can't stop reading about the death tarot card and how much it makes sense to me. And I'm like, haha.
Gotcha.
But I gotcha. But it's always fun that way, because whether it's someone who really believes in it and wants to work with it more, or if it's just like skeptical people, pull a card for those skeptic friends and see what they have to say, see how it makes them feel, or just straight up ask them, why are they afraid? I think most of the time when we're afraid of something, it's because, at the end of the day, it is so unknown, the spirituality side of life. And that's why it's so fun to talk about it, because everyone has their personal connections to it.
Yeah.
And especially you and I, like, we've never met in person, and the fact that we bonded over our mom stuff and our magic stuff and now tarot, it's just, I don't know, that's so
Even the
fucking
St.
cool
Lucy
to
thing,
me.
like
Yeah.
I told you this when we were working, but like Suzanne, who's been on the podcast also, that same week she was telling me all this stuff about St. Lucy, and it like came up in a session I was doing with her. And then like she's like a 40-something-year-old woman living in Massachusetts, like we're both in California but different places. Like it's really interesting to see these threads, and I think spirit brings people together like that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's so cool about the opportunity to do this work online, because it's not just, oh, my friend recommended you because we're in the same circle. Like it gives opportunities for all sorts of different kinds of people to connect, which I think is really important,
Yeah,
but also it can be fun.
very fun. It's just I think that to me is just like magic itself, the connection of humans like that. And the internet is problematic, but it's also so amazing, and we're able to connect from miles away. And even hearing that story from your friend who was in Massachusetts, I've never been there. I don't have any plans, but even that week and the message of St. Lucy then with this little trio, and I'm sure so many others, is it's just so rad. Like I love that's the stuff that gets me lit up and like just inspired to wake up every day and learn more and see what I'm gonna
I mean, yeah, it's
what
so
I'm gonna face.
interesting. Like you told me about this guy. Now
The
I follow him
mailman?
as the
Oh.
no the he like does saint
Oh, St.
stuff.
Anthony's tongue.
So I
Yeah,
started
yeah.
following him. I haven't listened to his podcast yet, but I want to. But we talked about the St. Lucy stuff, and then like a week later, he was like posting about these like St. Lucy offerings. I was like, this is weird. Like,
I got chills that
what?
day too. I was like, wait, we were just talking about this.
So crazy. But it's just so interesting. And like with the St. Lucy specifically, like there are different practices in more like Sweden and like Nordic countries, and then more like
That whole
here,
festival, I would love to go
Mexico,
to.
like Central America, like there's lots of different connections through. I want to go to that festival too. It's like
Yeah, we should go. We'll make like a crown of candles. That was my favorite.
I remember there was a little American Girl doll that had those candles.
Really?
Yeah,
It's
and
probably a St. Lucy
it
American Girl
was.
doll. Oh my
She
gosh.
was like, I think her name is Kirsten. She was a blonde, like, I don't know if she's Swedish, but
I'm
blonde
screaming.
white doll. And she had like that little crown. And when I saw those pictures, it like was like, oh yeah, I remember that from like seeing those dolls.
That's so funny.
But it's just like little
Am
random
I gonna go on
memories.
an eBay search for this doll now? I'm just kidding.
The American Girl dolls are unnecessarily expensive, but
Oh, I know. I used to be
but
a
it could
nanny,
be
and this girl
fun.
we would go to like the hair salon for the American Girl dolls.
Oh yeah,
And
they have like a hospital.
yeah, it's insane. I'm dead.
Well, thank you so much for doing this with me. Anything else you want to share real quick before we close?
Um,
If
Trust your own
people,
intuition, whether you feel silly or nervous or scared, just lean into that uncomfortability, because I know the more you lean into it and the more you shed and bring forth, you discover more parts of yourself. And I think knowing yourself better, as cliche and as much as many times as we've heard it, the more we know ourselves and nurture ourselves, the better we get at doing that for others. And that's what we need. And I think it's awesome that something like tarot has brought so much community and nourishment and knowledge. And I want everyone to feel that way. So I think, if you have your doubts of Reiki or tarot or getting or how to start, just do it. There's no wrong way. If you have that little voice telling you, it's a reason. If it won't shut up, it's because it doesn't want to shut up. It's trying to make itself known to you. So don't ignore it. You don't even have to tell anyone about it. Write it in your journal. Eventually, you might meet some random person who changes your life or not. Just stay true to yourself and you'll see everything like just open before you, whether it's hard to see in the moment. Just trust your journey more, I think, and give yourselves those opportunities to be scared. And I think it's something I'm still learning and getting settled with. But I think the fear agitates and brings forth a lot of things that we need to face, at least me personally. So, with Reiki and tarot, it those are really good tools that I know I'll forever have in my little like spiritual tool bag to bust out whenever I need, whether it's just telling my friend about it or speaking about my experience or guiding them to you. It's, you know, really awesome. And it's cool that we have this like invisible like force field of community, kind of just at our I know I can hit you up and be like, I have a question, or this is this, and it'll connect, and maybe you'll tell somebody else, and you'll tell somebody else, and now it's like this unspoken community. And I think it's so cool to be part of that. So definitely give yourself that chance and be scared and do it.
Thank you. That's so
Yeah.
nice to hear. I was gonna say, if people also like do their card of the year, please like send them to me on Instagram or send them to you. Like give us a
Yeah, that
little
would be fun.
DM. I'd love to see what people's cards are. But yeah, I'll be posting these episodes. We'll again put all your info so people can find you. And then yeah, that was very helpful, very insightful, and I'm excited to see what happens
Yes.
next.
Me too. I'm excited.
Amazing. Well,
Well, thanks
thank
for
you.
everything.
We'll see you all soon.
Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
Bye.